Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry. Everybody wants to see us.
I had that certified where 9 days high level. It kind of sucks. First time I've been out of that.
Really? So it's like more to try to sit than it does to.
It's getting better every day. I mean, they did surgery in the back and the front. And so it was, they took the disc out, spread it apart. It was some pain drops up.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll relieve, it'll be worth it.
Oh,
Here's a sign-in sheet.
yeah, I already have things back in his right leg, so that's, I was afraid that was gonna, so no, it's good. That was a water thing.
Oh, yeah. And then what advantage that is, I'm not signing on you can forget to come back on in my house. This automatically signs it. At the end of the meeting, it automatically. Because we know, it's my calendar.
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, I said, yes.
Everyone's good. We had a diaper dog incident this morning, so.
Because my problem is, I remember silence. Yeah, I saw that I missed calls all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was trying to reach you, you know. It's really great for movies. Put a movie in. And say yes. You want the movie? It was,
Good morning.
automatically puts it on silent for anything in the calendar. And what was great is it turns it back on. Right.
Yeah, all automatically.
Yeah, that's nice. So if we went long, it,
This goes to where I have to go. I got stuff to do. Getting ready for the holidays. My Colorado kids coming next Saturday.
Hey Alexa,
It's just
the Facebook page is right
I have to
there,
go to the job
so
site.
you can hit my feed.
I have to go to the job site.
Yeah, because it's kind of shooting. Let's get the groups.
So much to do.
Oh, they're in the back.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Still building for Jerry Jones.
Yeah, we remodel only.
I can actually pull it up here and tell you.
We're doing a huge
Are you gonna go
project
back
for a lady that wants everything and wants it tomorrow, so it's crazy.
What's here, boo?
Yeah.
Just working my lunch.
Well, no, I guess we just.
for dogs.
I think we have everybody else in it. Okay, all right, 10 o'clock. So we'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
We do.
Move into ratifying electronic votes that we made for the approval of the minutes from the November 16th Board of Directors meeting.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we move into our first owner visitor forum. Couple things real quick. We are filming this live, so do keep kind of the conversation out there down to a minimum so everyone online can hear everyone. And then, what is it, 3 minutes per person or whatever. Just we ask that we all respect each other's time. And we'll try to answer questions, and if we don't have answers, we will write that down and we'll get back to you, as we've done before. So, owner visitor forum. Anybody would like to speak? No?
We'll have an opportunity at the end, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I
That's correct. Okay. Then with no one wanting to speak at the owner visitor forum, then we'll move into the reports. My report is we've had a lot going on over the last few months. We updated on next door town square also recently to the hours of work that have gone down at the landing, trying to get everything situated. We'll have another update, I believe, on that today. Thing that I'm most interested in is all of us, this is our community, and it's about working together as a community. There has been a long-standing rumor mill that's not helpful to anyone. We need to deal in facts, not hearsay. And I would also implore everyone to stop polarizing everyone, because we really need to work together to make sure that we have the best neighborhood that we can. And different groups fighting each other and whatnot doesn't get us anywhere close to that. So, you know, I implore you all for unity. I don't think this board has done anything to break anyone's trust. In fact, we've tried to be as transparent as possible. And so we do ask that you would trust us. You've entrusted us to help make these decisions, and so we're trying to do our very best on that side of things. A lot of these situations are not as easy as they look at face value, and they're definitely not what some of the rumors in the neighborhood are. And so we're doing our best to try and keep that information flowing as we have information. And there's going to be times where there's a week or two where we don't have information on things. But the goal of this board is to improve long-standing conditions, not just at the landing, but also throughout the community. We've got all sorts of infrastructure that needs investment to be able to make sure that we continue to shine and that your home values are not just protected, but they can soar above others. We have the location to do that. The updates that are needed to our infrastructure, because we're 45 years old, are significant. And it is our goal to push forward on that over the next few years. One of the things that's on the docket for this year that's become a safety issue, we've talked about it before at board meetings, is that we want to redo all the street signs. And that's also, it also needs to be a design element that fits with a waterfront neighborhood. So not just visibility for safety, EMS coming into the neighborhood, but also that it can mirror our lakeside living atmosphere that we have here. So that's going to be something that's going to be happening this year on top of other things, but that's going to be probably one of the more visible ones. So we want to invest in the future, and we ask that you'll come alongside of us and watch as things improve around the neighborhood. That's the goal. So that's my quick report. Scott.
Well, the financials are posted on Town Square, so I won't bore you with reading through them all, except to say that we actually, our cash position is improving, reserves going up, so we're certainly headed in the right direction financially right now. I am going to, at the end of my report, make a motion that we begin renegotiating our note with American National Bank. It's now been 3 years into a 5-year note. And the wise thing to do is not wait till the last minute to renegotiate it. Interest rates have actually gone down since the last 3 years, which is a surprise to everybody. So this is a very good time to look into refinancing the note, looking at possibilities of more infrastructure improvements to the community, drainage, streets, parking, all those things are a possibility to be done right now. At this point, I'm going to make a motion that we authorize Chip Emery to reach out to American National Bank and begin the process of renegotiating our note, both the principal and any additional funds that might be necessary for infrastructure improvements.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I made the motion, you seconded it.
Yeah, but I was just saying, any discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. That's my treasurer's report, and we'll keep you posted.
All right, T, you're up.
Okay. As far as, with the manager's report, the 2019 audit is scheduled again for February of this year so that we can, receive that audit timely, preferably end of April, 1st of May. We had 12 households with resales, so we have 12 new homeowners in our community, and that information is forwarded to Cheryl McMahon, who is the liaison with the welcoming committee. We have a few year-end deadlines that we're working at here in the office for efficiency. We have a C3 mobile app that will allow security to go through the neighborhood and efficiently forward that information to compliance. So that would free up more time for compliance, rather than having to physically generate each letter. We have town square updates, NC3 updates for EC that are gonna streamline that process. And then we have year-end accounting deadlines. We're looking forward to an exciting 2020. It's gonna be exciting to watch those improvements in your community. And then just a thank you to the board and to the residents. I know we've had a lot in 2019 and coming up on the end of the year, looking towards a happy 2020 New Year. Basically, that's just a lot of work, desk work that's going on in this office here.
I want to compliment T on the effort it takes to have a quick audit. It's not unusual for a lot of homeowners to take the audit where it doesn't even get finished until a year afterwards, and we're doing it in just a matter of months. And part of that is that we're working very closely with outside CPA firm to get that done rapidly, so that we have posted an audited financials for you all. So thank you for that
Thank
effort.
you.
Just a couple of security updates. We've had some reckless driving on golf carts. Just surveying the room, probably the demographics in here don't fit the 8 and 10-year-olds that are driving the golf carts. We do have a minimum age, and that's not it. We've had some damage down in the park, some significant damage, about $400 worth of damage in the park. So we've filed a police report with the Rockwall Police Department. We have some suspects. We've asked folks to come forward. They haven't, so we'll just pursue it through legal means. Speeding continues to be an issue, but it's really more, unfortunately, people who don't live in the community. We have a couple of residents that were tagging with some pretty significant fines, so we've gotten them to slow down a little bit. So other than that, things are fine. We're back full staff. We've had some turnover, but as of this week, we have a full staff again.
For the landing, not much I can tell you there. Chip is going to fill us in on the updates and repairs. But that being said, we wanted to stay connected with you, and we tried to host a meet and greet. I thought it was pretty successful. It was at Lee and Ben Northcutt's house, so thank you very much for hosting. All the board members were there. It was kind of a pop-up quickie, just because we were all happened to be available and to kind of squash some of the rumors that were going around. We plan on doing more of these. I can't tell you how frequently, but we'll try to get it out there a little bit more in advance. The weather was just perfect for us to be able to do that, and it was really great to connect with you face to face. So, but I do want to reiterate that we're always available by phone. I will personally come to your house if you want to meet with me. So we could set up something if there's anything that we can do for you personally. We would like to be able to do that for you. Other things that are going on, we have the boat parade tonight, which is fantastic. It's not ours, but I think it's fantastic. It comes down by Chandler's. That starts at 6:30. Probably hit our area about 7 o'clock. A lot of people can take their golf carts down to the jetty area, the beach area. We have Santa Claus tomorrow that we're putting together. That will be from 11:30 to 1:30. Thank you, Josh. T's husband has stepped up to help us out with Santa there. But bring your pets, bring your family, and we take the photo for you on your own camera. We want to acknowledge the events committee for a wonderful past holiday party in the Greenbelt up here. They did a fantastic job. There's so many of them. I'm not even sure who's all on the event committee, but it was fantastic. It was great to see all the golf carts dressed up and going around the neighborhood as well. And lastly, Will's birthday is tomorrow, so happy birthday, Will. So other than that, we're gonna keep trying. Once we can get repairs made and like maybe we can possibly be on the downstairs patio or places around the landing, that we would like to host more smaller events just to keep us connected with our club. And eventually Chip will talk to you about where we are with the repairs and timeline and everything.
Okay. On the social media front, we've had a great growth of people getting involved on Town Square. About 2.5 months ago or so, it was around 250 people that were signed up and taking part on that. It's now over 850. As a quick reminder, the beauty of Town Square is if you're using the app on your phone, it allows us to send out immediate notifications that ping your phone just like any other app. And in doing that, that allows us, if there was ever an emergency, to get information to you rapidly. So it is a desire of this board, from a safety side of things, to have that aspect. Hope we never have to use it, but at least we would have it in that sort of event. And then also just, it's completely closed off. You don't have the accidental possibility of posting something you intended for just the neighborhood out to all of the other neighborhoods like you do on Nextdoor. So glad to see that growth there. We have a remembering that social media is big these days, and we're trying to make sure that Facebook, which is an outward-facing marketing tool for our neighborhood, but we also can use it internally, but primarily it's for exterior and marketing of the neighborhood. We have a promotional video for Chandler's that will become the header on that page soon. I am subsidizing some of that video to keep the cost down as low as possible for the neighborhood. I believe that will be premiering sometime next week. So we're waiting to get that back from the editor and videographer. Outside of that, we'll be taking, along with your own personal phones, so you have those photos at Sandy Boss. We'll also be doing photos with a professional camera that we can put like we did last year, put an album up of all the wonderful pets of Chandler's, and they're fun times on the beach.
I didn't want to volunteer either, thank you.
I figured I would expand it, so jack of all trades to some degree.
I also miss thank you Roy Kuipers. He was stand up at the event.
Yes.
He does great with the kids, so sorry about that, Roy.
That's it for me on social media, so we're going to move into old business. Scott?
Okay, the board's had several meetings with Kemper, and one of the things I think we are getting ready to post is the results of the survey.
Should be this next week, is I think when they're supposed to get to us.
Okay, so we should have it in so that everybody can share the results of the survey that was done on doing it. Lots of information there, lots of things that I think you'd find interesting about ourselves, where we talked about ourselves. So that'll be up on Town Square. I'm doing it. I think it's the board recommendation.
Yeah, I'd like to, Scott, if I could just interrupt, I'd like to make a motion that you and Bruce continue to negotiate a contract for management services of the landing with Kemper Sports Management.
I'd like to second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay.
So we'll keep you posted, on it, I think that, the board was very favorably impressed with the work that Kemper has done over the last 30 days and giving us advice about where to go and how to, make the landing, a location we'd all be proud of and not be a drain on the community.
And I'll tag on to that. One other element is bringing them in during this time where we're doing repairs. We have an opportunity to get their perspective, since they work with lots of clubs all over America, to come alongside of us and make sure that we're doing the best, not just what we want, but through their lens, that we're doing the best that we can for that building, to make sure that it functions for the neighborhood properly. So it's another good element to have.
Yeah.
Landing business model?
Yeah.
Bruce?
We've been wrestling with this for quite some time, the landing business model, whether we continue and should continue public, or whether we ought to think about semi-private. And the semi-private model we've been talking about for many, many months would be to sell memberships to stakeholders like non-resident tennis players, non-resident marina people, maybe vetted friends of residents, something like that. We reached a point of view in talking with Kemper in the last week. There were, going back to the comments that Evan and Scott made on survey, there were 483 people that filled out the survey, completed the survey. Normally our surveys run like 300 to 350 participants, so this was, I haven't seen it anywhere in the 400s in my 15 to 18 year association with Chandler's and the board. And the feedback was interesting. I describe it this way: there's a sprinkling of favorable comments, but there was a torrent of negativity. And it related to, we're not running a restaurant, we're running a bar, the noise levels, quality of food, price of food, quality of service, all were repeated many, many times. And what that boils down to, if we were to go semi-private, short-term, and seek to sell memberships, we don't have a very good basis to do that. One part of the survey, it was the 14th question for those of you that filled it out, asked, are you likely to recommend the landing to others, friends, relatives, and so forth? That was a pretty sorry 1/3 said they might do it, or they were extremely likely to do it. And with a clientele like that, 2/3 of the people either not recommending it or recommending against it. It didn't look like very good timing to start charging for memberships. So it's been Kemper's experience that the best way to go, and they have successful experience on doing this, would be to stay with the public model and really go all out to have the restart be successful and start to reverse the reputation that we have and look at the semi-private option at a later time. So I think we could conclude that the board is in favor of the semi-private option. We will get to it at a point, but it's probably going to be 6, 12, 18 months down the road when we get our reputation where we'd like it to be. So that's where we stand on the model, the business model.
Okay, just some repair updates. The electrical, the 2 big pieces of electrical equipment were scheduled to ship, or actually scheduled to ship on Monday. They're here assembled locally, so the goal is for Intex, who's the electrical contractor, to start installation of that equipment on Thursday or Friday. The can't do anything until they get it, but it's high on their priority list. All of the damaged equipment has been removed. The circuits that can be checked in terms of damaged wiring and et cetera has been looked at. We're not going to know some of the other things until we can get power back in the building. There are some plumbing related things that the plumbing doesn't leak, but it's in the wrong spot. It's probably not a good idea to have a bunch of plumbing pipes over the top of your electrical cabinets. So those are plumbers have started to relocate those with making some other plumbing modifications. Doesn't make sense. For example, I have 2 water heaters on opposite sides of the room. So there will be some work done on that. We need to make significant repairs to the floor in the kitchen because the floor leaks. It's not a plumbing leak, it's a floor leak where at the end of the day when the floor gets hosed down with hot water and scrubbed, leaks through the tile and then down through the floor. So, but we don't have any electricity, so until we can get the power back on, it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to even figure out how much of the floor needs to be repaired. I think right now the goal is, and this is just a target, it's not a solid date, but probably the last weekend of December we'll have power. Encore has a part in this. They've set a new transformer, but there's no meter, and we also will have to get Atmos out here to put the gas meter back in. All the meters have been removed, and then we will have to have some inspections from the City of Rockwell Fire Department. There's just a lot of intricate things that have to happen in order to do so. Because I said the last weekend in December, this doesn't mean that we're going to have anything available for use really interior to the building. We don't have any fire systems, so don't plan on anything in 2019 at this point. So we are working with, we've contacted a couple of design build firms. One local firm is our architectural firm that's done some consulting for us in the past on some possibilities. There's other repairs that we need to make. This is the time to do it while we're closed. So we're sizing that, pricing it, and then we'll prioritize what needs to happen and what the timeline is to get those repairs completed.
That takes us on to new business. Scott, you're up on yachting.
Yes, one of the, we have an opportunity to bring back yachting to the landing. There's some boats become available, the Etchell's 22, we'll post it up on NetSquare. These are 30-foot boats raced by some top sailors around the world. The boats new cost about $160,000 each, but because they're such high-tech racing boats that when their life as a racing boat is over, they're virtually worthless, and you can actually get them for about $6,000 a boat. And because they have no value anymore for anybody, but they make fabulous club boats. So those that have been around a long time, remember we used to have a fleet of J-22s, we had a fleet of Cal 20s before that. I don't think any sailors would be particularly excited about us getting a fleet of J-22s again, and J-22s cost anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 each. So to be able to get a fleet of Etchell's 22s, that's the boat I'm talking about, there's actually a fleet of 6 of them that are available to us. I've talked to the Marina already about converting our guest slips that are down in front to host our club boats. This would be, we're envisioning this, or we're talking about doing this very similar to the tennis program in the sense that you'd be able to join the sailing program for $50 a month. That would give you unlimited use of the club boats. We already have a fleet of Optis for kids. We see ourselves adding stand-up paddleboards, kayaks, things, more of the range of things, but we'd start off with this fleet of Etchells 22s, which would be 6 of them. They're 30 feet long. They're kind of considered an old man's boat because there's no hiking, there's no athleticism to sail them. You basically sit on the boat and steer the boat. They're also very easy to sail. They're but they're also very fast. They'd probably be the fastest boats on the lake, just in speed-wise. But so it'd be something that people would be excited about, being able to come and sail on an Etchells 22. Part of it is just the excitement of it. So there's really no commitment on the homeowners or the landing as far as financial. This would be a self-funding program, but we need the emotional support, the kind of saying, hey, this is a good idea to do it. We already have the marina on board. They think it's a great idea. We're going to bring in one boat, one Etchells 22 will be here in March. Invite everybody down to come take a look at it, go for a sail on it, and then if we have enough interest, we need about 50 people to sign up to make it viable. Then if we do get those 50 to sign up, we go ahead and bring in the other 5. So we'd have a fleet start out with a fleet of 6. The great thing about it is, if we got to the point that we got oversubscribed, like more people want to use them and started being used all the time, these boats are readily available to go get a 7th, an 8th, a 9th, a 10th boat. They're readily available to expand the fleet if we have success. So, and I think it was a great way for us to launch Chandler's Landing Yacht Club again, and actually have a sailing program. So,
You're also up next on the
I am.
survey.
Oh, the next survey. Yeah, we've been asked, in fact, I've been asked by several residents about having a survey, and I passed that suggestion around. I think what we want to do, and this is the beginning of that step, we've just finished one survey. We think there's a danger in having too many surveys. In other words, if you ask too many times for people to fill out a survey, they stop doing it. And we're very happy about the fact we have 480 people respond to the previous surveys. If we start doing one every week or every month, or back-to-back surveys, participation will drop way off. So what we're going to do is start exploring and saying, okay, we're going to set a policy of, like, do we do one every quarter? Do we do it twice a year? Do we do one a year? And then what's the standard for getting questions on there? How they get vetted? One of the things you want to avoid is push polling. Push polling is where you ask a question of a leading question where there really is only one right answer. Do you support the United States of America? I mean, well, yes or no. That's a push poll. I mean, yes, I support the United States of America. Whereas good polling really gets you, helps guide the board and guide the community about where the majority of people want to go. So we're going to start. I'm going to start working on that, and I'll come back to the board coming relatively soon about doing. But meanwhile, we're going to take suggestions of people, of surveys, questions they'd like to be asked, so that we can start gathering those together. And I've already started that file of questions that can go in, so that we can respond and know what the community wants. Okay.
Okay, as part of the repair process, one of the things that we don't have on a 45-year-old building is accurate AutoCAD files. So I've received 2 bids, or solicited 2 bids to 3D scan, which is the most accurate and efficient way to get the as-builts. And I'm asking for approval for a price not to exceed $4,500. The actual cost right now is under $4,000, but I think neither of the parties have, or the low bidder, neither party has actually walked the building because there's no power on. We can't do this until we get the power back on. The scanner has to be able to see some things. But I'd like to get this, get approval to proceed with this as soon as we can get some power back on and get this turned around, so just, it's more cost effective and gives us a, actual file to work with. So anything we need to do to move things around, we'll have that information. So
Yeah.
the scanner sees, whatever the scanner sees will, in terms of walls, things like that, we're not gonna scan above ceilings or whatever, but, it'll give us a set, in layman's terms, accurate blueprints of the building.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, you know, that's a lot of money to spend, but you can't get a really good bid on putting an elevator in to meet ADA unless you have very precise measurements about where it could go or how it could fit. If we decided to redo get bids for redoing the floor of the main dining room, the wooden floor, it really makes a difference if it's 4,500 square feet or 4,550 square feet. In other words, that very precise thing, if you want good estimates, you've got to have good blueprints.
And this also includes scanning the parking lot.
Right. Which we know we will have some definite problems to it, drainage wise and everything else. Okay, I make the motion, we approve it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. That concludes new business and brings us to our second owner visitor forum. Yes, sir.
I'll go first. I'm Phil Bishop. You probably all know me or haven't heard about me. I just wonder one thing about the elevator. My next door neighbor is involved in elevator installations and condominiums and so forth.
Yeah, we talked to
Yeah.
Cora.
So yeah, I don't know if you could be any help or not.
Yeah, well,
The second thing is, do you have what would I'm sure be considered a wild guess as to when the club might reopen? I hear July, and somebody else says it's gonna be, the end of February, and somebody else says probably never will, et cetera. So is there an educated wild ass guess that y'all could make?
I'd say consider the sources first. But
Well, that's always.
yeah, but I mean, does anybody have any idea at all? I mean,
At this point, we have the electrical component and then plumbing and then also looking at ADA. We all want it to be open. I want to be back down there with my family. I want to do day nights back down there. We want to be careful about rushing any sort of process. Some of these repairs and updates that we want to do would require shutting down a portion or all of the operations in the future if we didn't do them now.
Right.
And so a big part of it is also just trying to get as much accomplished while we're already closed in the winter season.
Right.
So I think there's way too many variables to even have a clue at this point.
Okay. Well, that's what I suspected. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just-
I don't know who said July. I don't know where that
Right.
came from.
What you heard is that we didn't feel comfortable taking any new like wedding parties and that until after that date, only
Okay.
because we don't wanna have to move a party like that we promised the big ballroom to, and we have a problem, and now we have to move them downstairs. That doesn't help anybody.
Okay.
But as far as our residents, we wanna get it open as quickly as possible, right? So
Well,
that's where it's
I
coming in.
mean, I think Phil, and you know this, it's way more efficient from a cost standpoint and work safety to do these repairs. Some of these are just, they need to be done and it's
Well, I think
closed.
I think that's an excellent plan.
Yeah, but, and I've been quoted, and I've told people who quote me that July date that's just, somebody's just, pardon my French, it's just BS.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, that's
it's
what I
a
thought.
made up number.
Right.
So, I would say, this isn't the most ideal time to get, architects and builders, attention, cause they're trying to get their year-end, things wound up. But we are, in fact, while I've been sitting here, I've gotten an email from the local architect on some proposals, so we have some numbers, but we need to vet those numbers and prioritize what we can get done here quickly. But I think the board, the 7 of us are all committed. We're in the same boat everybody else is.
Right.
And as soon as we can get things nailed down and get commitments, then I think we're in a better position to say, hey, these are the dates we're looking at.
It's better, from my standpoint, it's better to say there is no date.
Right.
At this point,
Exactly,
so, which is true.
yeah.
Yeah, and then, just to give you a date though, because I think it is important before you sit there, if we were sitting there and not talking about improvements to main dining room or parking lots or plumbing, when would be an ideal way just to open the club back up? Would be something like a March 1 soft opening, where people would come in and maybe try out the new menu and try out things, and then if we were a typical yacht club, you'd be opening April 1 for opening day, then that would be a hard opening where just anybody could come down and go to it. But that would be in the ideal world without knowing all those things. So
Right.
if I were just saying, gee, what do we want to do in an ideal world as far as opening back up, those would be the dates I'd be talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got one comment, Phil. Going back to this survey, we do not have a good reputation down there, that's clear. And it's really important that when it does reopen, it opens with a bang, and we start to reverse that reputation. So
Right.
we can't afford to screw it up when we open it up, so we wanna be very careful with that.
Hi, my name is Diana Marshall. My husband Joe and I live on Challenger Court. I always say, very sweet. I'm just gonna give you a real quick background on 3 minutes, right? I'm a talker. So I'm a physical therapist. I work for a school district in the DFW area. I grin and bear a lot. In my job, I have 8 schools. I deal with 8 principals, 8 AP assistant principals. I deal with counselors. I deal with teachers. I deal with kids with special needs. I work with the kids in the wheelchairs. They don't want to work. They don't want to get out of their chair. I grin and bear a lot in my job. I go to ugly therapist meetings where people are coming across the table, and we all have to try and stay calm and love each other. I've not always been a professional. I was in the restaurant business. Red Lobster for 5 years. I worked in Philadelphia at a place called Bookfinders on 2nd and Market. I had to ride the subway in a prairie skirt and a bonnet. I worked at MacArthur's in the Harvey Hotel in Addison, 4-star restaurant where the label needed to be facing the guest or we were in trouble. We went above and beyond. The motto there was you go above and beyond for the guest. If there was not a newspaper in the gift shop, somebody was going to Tom Thumb up the street to get it. I'm leaving the hotel for a minute. I'm going to go make this man's life because he wants a newspaper. We made their world. And when they came in, we greeted them. If we did not, we got in trouble. I have given the landing 4 opportunities. Lisa met with me after a really, really bad experience. My husband and I walked in, we waited, nobody greeted us. We didn't know who was who. And we finally, when nobody would greet us, we walked over and we said, can we get a table, please? And I'm telling you, this is how I handle things. Because I don't want people to spit in my food. Because I've seen it happen. I looked at a waiter and I was like, he thought I was gone. He was the only one in what we call the alley back. I saw him spit in a man's salad. When I go to a drive-thru, I'm nice no matter how rude they are. I am nice no matter how rude people are. I don't complain unless it is bad and I'm having to contribute to a restaurant that I cannot use. So, one was a major special event, a baby shower for my daughter. I won't go into the details, but I get better greetings at Walgreens. When I go in, they go, welcome to Walgreens. If I'm halfway down the store, I say good morning because they don't get greeted half the time. So I take into account people who are treated badly, they're having a bad day. I'm nice when they're not nice. So, but I don't want to have to go to a restaurant and grin and bear them too. It's my turn. I don't want to be difficult, but I want to go and relax. I want date nights with my husband down there. I think it's an amazing place. We've been here 3 years. Apathy, as some have described, I don't think is a fair assessment of, I know for me. When I have been here a year, I've not been here long enough to contribute. I did not feel. We've been here 3 years. I feel like we want to stay here. We want to retire here. I grew up going to the lake, skiing, swimming, all those things. We had a lake house. I love it. I love the lake. I love everything about Chandler's, the golf carts. I will say I don't like the dogs off the leashes. I do not like that. I do not like dogs on the beach. And I've had a confrontation with a gentleman. I'll try and keep. I tend to get off track. So I think the yacht club thing and the $50 membership is amazing. That's not taxing the residents. That is an incredible opportunity. I'm all for a good restaurant. I told Joe I want to go down there. I want to get on people. Go. Good evening, Miss Marshall. How are you? How can I help you today? I guarantee I'm going to be nice, even when they're rude, and I leave good tips. So all that to say, I know what a restaurant should look like. I'm all for a good restaurant. I'm willing to pay extra for a good restaurant, but I do not feel like I'm willing to pay for a restaurant I cannot use. That's the only time I'll speak up. Otherwise, I leave and don't go back. I leave a good tip, and I tell Joe we just won't go back. That's how I handle it. But I want to go back. And Lisa said, give us another opportunity. I did, and I took friends. We went to the boat club. We're members of the boat club. Love it. Their customer service is incredible. And we went, we skied, we went swimming, we did the sea-doos, and I was like, then we go to the restaurant. And it's just the customer service. They look like they don't want to, or they don't want to see me. And I stay nice. So if they don't want to see me and I'm still nice, though they're rude, I can't imagine other people. And I know what it's like to be in the restaurant business. I know what it's like to be treated badly. I know what it's like when you're busting your behind to make their experience good, and they're like, you didn't fill my cup full of chowder. I don't want to see you back here again. That was my first experience waiting tables, and I cried. My manager was an ex-Marine. He was like, don't go back in there. I was like, oh my gosh. So I know what it's like to be treated badly. So anyway, I don't know if I can segue. It's not a good segue into the dogs on the beach. Took my granddaughter down there, 4 years old. She's 6 now.
Excuse me, the beach isn't.
I realize that, but it's Chandler's residents that are abusing it. So I don't know what we can do about that, but I can't go down there and enjoy near the beach, beside the beach. I was greeted by a very large German Shepherd off the leash. And you know what? Some people are like, yes, I'm a dog lover and I can do it. I am not the dog whisperer. I can't do it. I've had bad experience. I was charged by a Rottweiler. I was chased in my house by a Dalmatian. I watched my nephew attacked by my parents' dog who'd never hurt a fly. So when I take my 4-year-old granddaughter and strange dogs are jumping on her and my guests, and there's stuff on the beach from the night before, not the beach, even beside the beach, just standing beside looking over the beach. I can't be around it because people are down there congregating with their dogs up the leash. Am I over my 3 minutes?
No, I just want to give you something
The
very direct.
solution is to call the animal control. I mean,
Yeah,
we have no way to enforce it.
Here's what you must do, and it doesn't matter where you are in all of City of Rockwall.
Okay.
You get out your camera, you take a video of it, you then call animal control,
Okay.
and you say, I have a video, I'm getting ready to text you, and they will come down and seize that dog.
Really? Okay.
But you have to have a video, and you have to call, you can't call 2 weeks later. And they will come down and seize that dog.
Okay. Because
And I will tell you, when we do Santa Claus on the beach, all those dogs are leashed, every one of them.
But every single time I go to the beach, and now I can't go, or down even to that area.
Yeah, but it
Because
must
I'm
be,
greeted by a dog every single time.
you must bring your cell phone and take a video,
Okay.
not a snapshot.
Okay, and then the resident who had the dog, when I went like this, and I'm not a confrontational person, I went like this, and he goes, what? And he comes over, and I was like, if my husband were here, you wouldn't have done that.
Video and call animal control, text it to them.
Okay.
And they will seize the dog.
So animal control is there, do I Google the number, or?
Well, it's the City of
City of
Rockwall.
Rockwall.
City of Rockwall.
I'll give you the phone number if you want it.
Oh, I do?
972-771-7750.
I wasn't prepared, so can I?
I'm on a first name basis with.
Because of the
Janice
same
and Joyce.
issue, okay.
And we do hear your concerns about the restaurant, and we are trying to make it better.
I know, and hearing that here made me happy. I was like, good, because I do want to go back, and especially if we are having to pay dues and then extra dues and then extra dues next year and then possibly extra dues the following year, now I will complain instead of, because I can't just not go back.
I just
Could
want
we
to
just offer some other time for some other people to speak?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's what I said, just tell me when you're
Okay.
But I do want to make one more response to that. Know that the dues increases are not going to support the landing.
Okay.
I mean, that is not.
That is where the rumor
there-
mill is a problem.
That is the rumor mill problem.
That is, okay.
There is a portion of them that are, but a larger portion of them are going back into our security, our infrastructure, and that's the plan over the
Okay.
next 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I don't want to get tied to a percentage or whatever, but my goal would be that we see no more than 15% of any dues increase make its way down there.
Okay, thank you.
It needs to
for-
go into the
that's
rest
good
of the
to know.
neighborhood.
And on Town Square, is that where, because I just now got an invitation, I didn't know everything was on Town Square.
Yeah.
So is that where I go to get most of my information now?
Yes, financials, that is the correct place. That is an official source.
Okay,
That
I
is
was not
just
aware.
residents.
Yeah.
Chandler's or next door
Is a problem.
are people that don't even live in here. I mean, they can say they have Chandler's address,
Mhm.
but they don't live here anymore. And they're still
Okay.
commenting.
Okay,
It's
so.
it's a problem.
We can't kick them off. There's
Yeah.
no way to do
Well, just
that.
We don't
knowing
own next
that,
door.
you know, it's just nice
So
to know.
Town Square is truly your residents,
Yeah.
only
Okay.
your, and when they leave, they're not on there anymore.
Okay.
The group on next door that's called Chandler's Landing encompasses several other subdivisions.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that.
Single
David Mallard
Ridge.
was our
Yeah.
admin on that, and I've asked him several times to please contact them and get next door to eliminate
We
the
tried.
other subdivisions, but
I personally have also reached out once I got in control of social media and trying to clean a lot of stuff up. There's also numerous residents that have 3 different accounts, and so it starts begging the question, which one's fake? So there's a lot of problems with
Sometimes they
next
get
door.
booted off, so they just hop back on with
Right.
another
Right.
name is
Yeah,
what happens.
but we don't own it, we
Right.
don't run it, we don't have any ability to run it. I have contacted Nextdoor directly, their headquarters are in San Francisco, and they don't care.
right. That's why I don't ever
Right,
go and look unless I'm selling something.
you're right.
Before we move on, Bruce Payton took care of a very bad dog problem I had within Chandler's, attacking pit bull. And Bruce, thank you for that. You did it timely. The dog was out of the neighborhood in less than a week, and it was a serious attack. Thanks again. So Chandler's board handles it well, especially Bruce.
Thank you, Russ.
I would like to just say one thing. There are many things about the
Your name
land.
and address, I'm
My
sorry.
name is Sylvia Turner. I live at 5908 Yacht Club Drive.
Okay.
Been here 23 years. And there are things that need to be improved at the landing, for sure. But I have never walked in there that Will did not come over and greet us and make us feel welcome. And most of the wait staff. So that, I mean, that's mine.
Okay,
And I know that there are lots of things to be improved. But that one thing I have,
That makes me wonder.
I'm a very outgoing person, and I may walk in and say, "Hi, Will," and I did the first time.
Well, and I
met
did not
him.
know anybody to know they need to do
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yeah, I had a question, Bruce, you had talked about the survey from Kemper, that there was, we're gonna get the results of that. What I'm concerned about and what I would like to see, and you know this, Scott, but I've addressed it with you, is I would like to get a true survey that says how many residents wanna keep the landing as a restaurant and bar and how many do not. And that question's never been asked. And, it's in a roundabout way, where you have comments that you could put at the end of the survey. But I would like to see what is the support for keeping a restaurant and club on site where we're spending, and you say we're not spending a large part of our dues, but we've got 400 something thousand worth of loans, is that correct, out of our reserves to the
That's not
landing?
correct.
Is that,
That's not
am I misreading the
That's not
books?
correct. So let's
Okay,
make
so
sure.
what are our loans that we have the total right now outstanding to the landing?
And loans cannot come out of reserves. The IRS regulates.
Okay.
Reserve expenditures are replace and repair of infrastructure within your community.
Okay,
So if you have a loan,
like does the Chandler's Landing Community Association loan money to keep the past year or so?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the fact, here's the thing, and we're kind of stuck with language that I didn't invent,
Right,
okay? But if I had been setting us up from day one with a proper accounting for the landing, I would have never called it a loan.
Okay,
Because it would have come in as on the top of the line as revenue.
right,
And this would have been the amount that we put in
right,
to subsidize the landing's operation.
right.
Right? Because of the issue was that when they first set it up, they decided to make it a loan so that if the landing was ever profitable, they could take the money back out of the landing and bring it back into the homeowners association. That's probably not going to happen. So I wouldn't properly call it loans, I would call it subsidies that we've done. And it's been several $100,000s in subsidies over the last couple of years.
Okay.
But we also subsidize Mansell Park. We also subsidize security. I mean, you could say we've loaned security $600,000 a year for the last umpteen years. So amenities don't make money. Parks don't make money. This land that we have out here that we use once a year for thing probably cost us close to $60,000 a year in just mowing, landscaping. So you'd say we've subsidized the National Night Out, which we do once a year on this property, to about $100,000 a year. Now, if we put a vote out saying how many people want to spend $100,000 a year to subsidize National Night Out, I don't think we get a lot of people voting yes.
Right. But I
we
think
have a large group of people that are coming out to it, and it's a part of the environment of the neighborhood.
And if you ask people how many people have used Mansell Park, it might be a very small group of but I assure you we spend a lot of money maintaining Mansell Park.
Right.
So if we're gonna ask that question of, do you wanna spend this amount of money to subsidize that amenity, it's a fair question in a survey to say, let's ask about all the others, and we might find the same number of lack of support for virtually everything in the community, including security even.
And yet, these are the things that make our neighborhood unique and different, and why people like to live here.
Right. Well, I just
not everyone's going to use every minute.
Right.
It's in all fairness, Kathy, and I'm not intending to offend you here.
No.
The ship sailed.
I agree.
You know, the prior board, and I applaud them for doing it. Do I necessarily agree how they made the decision? No, but they had every legal right to make the decision to buy the property. It's 8.75 acres on Lake Ray Hubbard. It's an asset. It's an amenity to the community. And don't take the infliction of my voice as anger. I'm just passionate
I'm not,
about it.
Chip. You know that.
And so we have it. What is the best use of it? Frankly, sending surveys out that keep asking that 3 years later, in my mind, is just non-productive. And the cost and the time to take these surveys and go through them and analyze them takes away staff time to do other things that are, frankly, at this point are more important. And I think once you see the Kemper results, which we have seen for the first time and digested it's a pretty telling story of the direction that we're moving in the correct direction here on how we operate the property and what amenities we provide to the community.
Is Kemper going to take over the operations? I mean, are we going to let somebody absorb it and take over it that really knows what they're doing?
That was
because
earlier,
that would be
earlier in the meeting. That was the motion.
Okay, it was to continue their contract, but to
No.
Okay.
Let me make it clear.
Okay.
Bruce and I are going to go over the contract they proposed.
Right.
That says they are going to come in and take over all the employees. They're going to manage
I think that's great.
It's going to be
do programming for events and that kind of stuff.
And then there'll be a period of time, like that if it's not working, that we'll be able to say, hey, that's
Yeah.
We have a 2-year out,
There's a
but
we haven't negotiated the contract
Okay.
yet. So if you could just, so we're not putting words in people's mouths here, and you're not you personally, it's rumors around. Please give us the opportunity. It's why you elected us, so that we can. We got 2 great business people here
Okay, good.
that, to negotiate a contract, that hopefully we can work out a contract with them to take over management of the facility.
And along that same line, Bruce, you brought up and there's rumors out there of going private or going public with the membership of any discussion, like if it was to turn into a semi-private club, would residents have the ability to opt in or opt out?
No.
No.
We just
There's
talked
no
about
charge
this
to
earlier.
residents beyond the assessments.
Right,
No charge to residents.
okay,
Yeah.
but it
Under
would
any
be,
model.
yeah, okay. Okay.
Mark?
Yeah, just picking up, Mark Sturts, 5104 Yachting Drive, just picking up on that point, I'm a little cloudy on the Kemper thing. So the last I remember, we were kind of not sure what we were gonna do, but we are going forward with a management contract, is that correct?
Yes.
And
That's
so,
my intent.
They're
so
negotiating.
what's gonna take place is the scope of the contract and terms and all that stuff.
Yes.
But we're definitely going forward with, what, a year, 2 years?
Well, it'll be a 5-year contract, which I intend to negotiate a 2-year out. So that if we're not happy, then if we're happy, it goes 5 years, and they're happy, it goes 5 years. But we have an out after 2 years.
Can we talk about being careful, just because it's better, because it gets better with their help, that we don't short circuit that?
Yeah, one of the issues that why there's an out at all, that they've actually done, they manage over 125 different properties. They have incredibly good relationships with their long-term things, but it has happened to them where they come into a situation like this, they spend immense upfront time and energy, they turn it around where instead of it losing, $20,000 a month, it starts making $20,000 a month, and a new board shows up 6 months later saying, well, gee, we're making $20,000 a month, let's get rid of that $9,000 we're spending with Kemper, we don't need them anymore. And they put in a huge upfront expense to get it to where it's making money, and then they're out.
So we need to be careful not to short circuit our own process towards success.
And what they found is if they stay 2 years, people almost never get rid of them because they end up loving them. If they want long enough to have the results happen, things go well, and then they have their interest is long-term relationships.
And just to give you a very brief perspective on how good they are, there's a rating called Net Promoter Score out there, and a lot of companies use it. Apple, people like Apple products, they run around 68, I believe, Net Promoter Score. Southwest Airlines is 71. Kemper's 74. Okay, so they're a very well-rounded, well-known, and popular.
Why don't you tell them what the landing's at?
Negative 28.
Negative 28.
Dish Network is at 17.
So we're pretty Dish Network.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, anyways, there'll be more information on all of this coming out. But just so you know, they are a very good company. They're doing what they do, and it would be wise for us, like we did with security, to hire a company to manage that amenity for us, so that future boards aren't having. This has been absolutely ridiculous. 15 to 20 hours a week per person up here, per week. We're talking 80 hours a month for these people to do that work. Russ, you remember how much work you put in when you were on the board. So we've got to get away from that, because you're going to get to a point that you can't guarantee yourself that a future board is going to do that. And if it still requires that amount of work from someone, things will go down. And it'll go down hard. So we've got a lot of revamping that we need to do to get this board back to what it should be doing.
Can I just add something positive?
Sure.
I'm glad I came today. One reason I had not come in the past is I didn't know what to expect and who's going to listen to me being such, not having been here for very long. And what I hear today is wonderful. I think it's fantastic to have somebody come in who knows what they're doing and to take over. And I will definitely be down there again when it opens, and it be inviting friends. I will be telling everybody in the district I work in, come and try it. So I appreciate you guys. So.
Hey Phil, can I get you to wait 1 second, because David's been very patient.
He can't stand, he's struggling.
Okay.
first of all, David Raymond, David Bellia, 5808 Constellation Circle. You know, as far as the board goes, I mean, thank you so much for everything that y'all do. I know it's not easy. As someone who served on charity boards in the past, numerous ones, and also reported to a board as the president, I know that it's tough on the board. It's you're faced with, you get diluted with information, and so it's, you know, thank you for your service to us as a whole, and you know, I think that's important to say up front. As far as the landing on it, I do disagree with you, Chip. I do think that there should be a survey, because I don't think this HOA should be in the restaurant business.
We're trying to get out
That's
of
what we're trying to do.
But with this Kemper thing, are they going to pay us an amount of money for rent, to lease, or are we, who's gonna control expenses? What kind of business model is this? It's cool to have, say, okay, they're gonna take it over, but what are we going to pay them? We're gonna pay them, and then we're responsible for all their expenses, and they just kinda have carte blanche? What really is the
No, they don't
the
have
model?
carte blanche. I mean, the model is that there's a management fee, but there's also a provision for profit sharing. So it's an incentive for them to get it profitable. They make, you know, their minimum and just in general terms here is, you know, they get a monthly management fee. Okay, we get out of, that's their expertise, is how to run these types of facilities. There are provisions in there for them to share in the profit. So they get some, we get some, but we, you know, if they make it, if there's a profit made, then we get the bigger portion of the profit than they do. So, and the thing here is, they run over 100 of these facilities all over the country. They don't have to, they're very picky, correct, Scott? They're very picky on who they're willing to take on as a client. And so from our perspective, our best chance of success here is it's no different. You've been here long enough to know we used to have our own security people. We didn't do a very good job. We outsourced it. That's effectively what we're doing here. We're outsourcing, and if you look at what the monthly management fee is, it's not really any different than what we're paying to Allied Universal for their security management fee. If you take the salaries that we pay to the employees, or they pay their employees out of the picture here, the numbers are pretty similar. So I think we all hear what you're saying, David. I think just give us an opportunity here to make it work, and that's really where we're at here. It's a great amenity. Not everybody's going to use it. I think that's one of the telling things that we see on the survey. To give you a little bit of a piece of it is that how many people who live in here answered and said, of the survey of the 480, there was a group of people that answered and said, we didn't even know we could go down there.
And I want it to be successful. It's not like, oh gee, I want to tear it down and throw it away or create condos or any of that crap. I don't want any of that either. I'd love to have it be successful. And quite frankly, we've been down there quite a bit. And it's, I mean, I'm not trying to be mediocre to okay as good as we've ever seen down there.
And that's a lot of what we
That's
saw. And that's a lot of what we saw
in the survey. And so I'm not somebody who says, oh, gee, you know, you shouldn't complain unless you're willing to do something. I'm certainly not willing to be on the board.
Sure.
You know, so you shouldn't complain a whole lot unless you're willing to take some positive action. I just don't think that there's any way, form, or fashion that this HOA or any HOA should be in the restaurant business. It's a tough business.
David, I understand that. I'm in the restaurant
Especially
business.
being in the restaurant business.
And I get it. But I also reached out to many restaurateurs to see if they'd be willing to come in. And nobody will come in, mostly because we're an HOA. And two, because there's a lot of repairs that have to be done out there. It's an old structure. Now, down the road, when we get all this up and going, and we run it professionally, and this lake explodes because of what's going to go on in Rowlett, we have what, 5 years to make good repairs, to get this place up and going, then we wanna rent it to someone, we could do that. But we
Listen, I'm all
can't
for the
do it
success.
as it is right now. So
That's-
what's our best option? Our best option is to have professionalism. That's our best option.
Well, I'm all for it. I'm tired of the drain.
Yep.
I'm
It's 50
corporate, so
plus-
I look at these
You know,
things.
it's
And I'm
50%
trying to
plus
listen.
increase in dues
We're-
in the last.
Right, but that-
It's
it's
not
not
all
all-
the
it's not
landing.
You say it's not, but the cost of the landing, taking down all the reserves, is what's cost the.
We were not prepared for the future. When
No.
you do a hard look, and we have not had a reserve study in a while, but this summer we have it in our budget to do that. And my goal is that we get a 20, 30-year outlook, including replacing our streets, because we own them and we have to factor for that. We're talking millions of dollars within the next decade, 15 years. And we weren't prepared for it before the landing. We weren't. And the goal of this board is to put us in a strong financial position for the future. And a part of that is the fact that we cannot have dues that are so incredibly low yet offer great amenities. What's happened in the past is we've had to make a choice. We chose to have low dues, and we chose to not keep up repairs on our infrastructure, and we have a lot of deferred maintenance. Then you overlay the roads on top of that. We've got to make a change. I'm here to stay. You said on your one of your comments on it that you don't care what the future value of your property is because you're here to stay. I'm here to stay too. I'm never going to see the benefit. My kids or grandkids might see the benefit one day, and that's nice, and we should give to the next generation. But that said, it doesn't make me any difference either. And because of that, all I can think of is that we've got to stop being selfish with our money and invest in this amenity, this community that has given us so much. And it's time to do that. And it's time to get to the place where we are appropriately, that our levels of dues are appropriate for what we have, also factoring in for age and factoring in for future maintenance. So that's all we're trying to do. It is not predominantly the landing that has done that.
So you don't think it's appropriate to ask the residents if they want a restaurant in the landing?
Well, I think the
Don't
problem is.
put that word in, I did not say that.
Yeah, here's the problem is, as I was telling Kathy, it's only appropriate if you ask, it's not a push poll. A
And
push
I-
poll
I'm
is, do you
okay.
want to spend money on the restaurant? No, I would answer no. But if you put it in context of all the other things you're spending money on, I think you would get, and then look at the percentage of people who vote no. They, no, I don't want a national night out land. No, I don't want to spend money on Mansell Park. No, I don't want to spend money on 9 tennis courts. I don't ever play tennis. I mean, you go through all those things, and then I think you'll see about the same percentage of people that would be willing to spend money on all those things. So then the last question would be, do you want to get rid of all the amenities? Because here's the thing: we have the option of doing this. Take the logical extension. That is, get rid of security, tear down the gate, turn the streets over to the city of Rockwall, turn the parks over to the city of Rockwall, and make ourselves just like Buffalo Creek. The Buffalo Creek, they have no security. The parks are owned by the city. The streets are owned by the city. And that is the logical thing of saying, I don't want to share in the expense of something I don't use.
And Scott, I've got plenty of money to be able to pay my dues every month. I'm not worried about that. It's just I don't want my money wasted and on something that I don't think is right. And being in the restaurant business, I don't think it's right.
I happen to
And we
agree
are
with you on
trying to.
That's my
That's
only
why
thing.
That is
we're getting
exactly
out
what
of
we're
it.
trying
That's
to
why
resolve.
we're.
Well, I'm excited to
But
hear.
there's more than just the restaurant down there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the facilities,
There's
the
7
meeting
tennis
place.
courts, there's a pool, there's other
There's
things.
more things down there. It's a great meeting spot for us.
Here's a little perspective for everybody, thanks to Evan, if you don't mind. I'm just gonna share this. So, Pete's Yacht and Golf Club, okay?
Non-gated.
Non-gated.
Right over here.
Okay, right over here.
Further
Okay,
down.
flat. Okay, it's flat as this table. Okay, not on a hill overlooking the lake. Okay, HOA dues mandatory, $60 a month. Okay, HOA social membership mandatory, $125 a month. At the closing of the purchase, buyers pay a one-time $1,000 initiation fee wrapped into their closing cost at the title company. Okay?
There's more.
But wait, as Billy Mays would say, there's more. He's dead. 0.6% MMD tax, so that's the municipal utility tax. Okay?
That's it's a municipal management
tax. Okay? With a medium home price of $425,000, so that's $2,550 a year, or an extra $212 a month.
For a total of?
For a total of $397.50 a month.
And they don't have anything close to what we have.
Close.
And they're 5 years old.
And so
And by the way, I was a member there also, and I also know that they have a restaurant, and their restaurant is in the same shape that this restaurant's in. Mediocre at best, nice people, you know, but
I'll tell you, two of our residents here, I'll tell you a story that I heard at dinner last night. Is two of our residents here went over there, didn't know that it was private, went over there to go in and have lunch. And there was no one in there. And they had an opportunity to sell them a membership to have lunch by frankly saying, sure, go ahead, we'll serve you whatever. Well, we'll sell you a pass for $100 for the day, okay? And they said, no thanks. And they said, well, we'd just like to have lunch. And they said, well, we can't serve you lunch because our members will be upset with you eating here if you're not a member. But there was no one else in there but the two of them. So they politely asked them to leave. So they left. They went somewhere else.
I think it's Phil was next.
Yeah, just mine's quick. There's a line item on the 2020 budget, $10,000 a month to Kemper. Are you anticipating that might be the monthly fee that we pay them?
I think it'll be $9,000 a month. Yes, I do. Yeah.
I had a question. Chip, you're going to renegotiate or talk to American Bank about the loan, correct, for the
Yes,
for the property? Is there, I mean, with all these expenses that we're talking about, you know, and if the interest rates are down, is there any way that maybe even consolidating or redoing the loan?
Absolutely.
Chunk of change,
Yeah,
you know, rather
absolutely.
than every year, we're going to go up because then we're going to go up good.
No,
Now we could get, you know, the same, extend the note and do.
That's what I'm working on.
Okay.
are you locked into American National? Can you look at some other entities?
We're
We
not,
looked at
we're,
the other banks already.
we've already had it out for proposals, so they have the best opportunity for us.
And David, I was gonna, part of the whole, the building and the restaurant and all that too is, one thing that we need to do is find a way to utilize that property in the most efficient way we can, where we can be more inclusive to all the residents in here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Not just the restaurant. And that's one thing that.
Not just a bar.
Not just a bar or a restaurant, and we want everyone to be comfortable down there, to use that facility. And if it's part of it's a restaurant, part of it will be a ballroom, a venue for weddings or bar mitzvahs or whatever.
Part of it's for a yacht club.
Yeah.
You gotta have a place.
And have a center.
And please understand, I live a block and a half away from it.
Yeah.
So I want it to be good.
Well, we
I want it to be
all do.
successful. I just don't want it to be a drain on the finances to the point that
I know.
it's stupidity to begin it.
But we
That's
have-
all. I'm not against it.
But we're all saying the same thing here. We
Yeah.
just have a vision and a plan that maybe some people in the room don't agree with, some do. But you elected us to be stewards of the dues, and I think we're doing a fantastic job in trying to come up with a solution here. And this is the best opportunity for success here. I think, and once we publish the results, I think it was a real eye-opener for us. I think it'll be an eye-opener for you why this is the best route to go.
Hey, I'm all for success of it.
after I met with Lisa, my husband and I offered to power wash. But, I mean, we're willing to get involved and to help, not just to complain. And I said, you know, I wanted to be more of a team player. How can we help? You know, after having been.
We'll have
we
people that
appreciate
will
that.
do that now.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, but a big part of it is if it's an amenity for us, we don't want to constantly be relying on neighbors' charity to
No, I
keep
understand that.
it.
I just
And
want
so
you to know
it's a
our
thank you.
willingness to get in and
Right.
help and not just to complain. That's fair.
Let me raise a point of order. There are people that haven't spoken yet that have got their hand up.
Yeah.
I'd suggest that we let people that haven't spoken
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. Before
And then there'll be
second, yeah.
time for repeats.
Sandy.
Sandy?
Sandy Perry, 299 Victory Lane. Talking about the amenities, I would just like to remind people that some of your amenities, like the the land out here or whatever, does not increase the value of our property. The landing increases our property. You can ask any real estate agent about that. That having that does increase. Yeah, increase our
The
property.
swimming pool, the tennis court, the whole visual
Right,
aspect.
right,
of
all
that.
that.
Totally.
And a lot of people have not even thought of that, I don't think. They just want down the landing and that's it.
Actually, this is such a wonderful lifestyle. I remember when Jenny would come out of houses when she was selling, I'd drive by with my golden retriever and people would be like, you know, and honestly, people are like, I want that.
Right.
I want this golf
Right.
cart, I want this view, I want to be here.
We need
I
to
just
get-
want to
I
remind
wanted to
people
be
of that,
Yeah.
that they don't.
We need to
think
thank
that.
you for that. We need to get back to the point where we're grateful for what we have.
Right.
There's been a lot of complaining, and it's not bad to voice opinions. That's not what we're saying. It's not that we're saying we don't want to hear it, but it needs to be put up against the lens of, are we
Right.
grateful for this? Because I love living here. I think it's great. It can be better, and we can definitely manage things better, and that's what this board has been trying to do. And as we worked on it for 15 months or so, under the majority of this board, we realized that the Kemper side of things is the way to do that, and it also insulates and protects future boards from getting in there. If we're as a board having to run that, you have volatility built into that. If the board is running it and it's constantly switching and you got new ideas and whatnot, it needs to be run professionally by people that's what they do, not this board.
I agree with all that, and I voted for that when I was on the board. The only question I had,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
the only question I had about that is, and the only problem I have with it is the 2 years. If they're not making us money, we're still obligated to pay them for 2 years. Is that correct? Am I
Yeah,
understanding
but
that right?
yes, but the time that it's gonna take, that's probably perfectly timed up with what it's gonna take to be able to make the improvements and whatnot. I mean,
Right.
this is a 6, 12, 18-month process.
Yeah.
And so it's not like we're really exposed there horribly. And again, remembering how what a great NPS score that company has. It's above Apple and Southwest Airlines.
Ritz-Carlton.
Ritz-Carlton. Yeah.
So part of what they're gonna do too, they're involved in our utilization of that entire property. And their experience and their knowledge is gonna help us utilize that building the most efficient.
Yes.
So that's part of their deal too. It's not just the restaurant.
Right.
I mean, we for example, we have a kitchen that was designed in the 70s. It's 45-year-old design. Okay, kitchens are not that large anymore. So we've already, when we met with them the other night, because we know we have a kitchen floor that leaks, okay, their operations managers will be coming down here to advise us on what changes can be made to the kitchen to make it more efficient, as an example, and how much space can we glean out of there for other utilization of other things. So that's the value that comes along with the cost. We're paying some travel expenses for that, but that their time is included in the monthly fee. So those are the types of things that on the front end, while we're in this period of time of needing to make much needed repairs, and it's not to take away from what, Mike Reed or Russ or other people have done, there's just other things they couldn't get to that need to be taken care of. And now is the time to do it, but utilizing Kemper's expertise this is the way the kitchen needs to be set up to make it more efficient and then how much of that can we do, as an example.
Anybody else? Oh, 2 hands, go ahead.
Ben Northcutt, 102 Aurora Circle. I know, Evan, we spoke about last week, but I couldn't remember the exact number. Of the new amount that we pay each month for 2020 for monthly dues, about how much of that goes towards the landing?
The goal is less than 15% of that, so $1.50.
Phil had the number, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, $4. The historic number that we've had over the last 3 years from Phil was $4.50.
So out of the
for
total
household, for operations.
Out of the total 150 whatever, do we have a amount per household that goes towards the landing?
Yeah, $4.50 a month.
For the operations, and then about $10 for the notes, so about $15.
Okay.
Which
is a lot that you get to get 9 acres, 7 tennis courts, a junior Olympic sized pool, an 18,000 square foot building on that location with that view. That's cheap. It's super cheap.
That means it's not just the restaurant, it's all the land.
It's all of it. Yeah, and unfortunately the building itself, because of the operations, has taken the brunt of a lot of negativity. We have to look at that properly, and properly looking at it is the entire just under 9 acres with the tennis courts, with the pool, and the building.
I appreciate the clarification. That's where.
Is that good? Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I was just curious, is there a date for the negotiation of the contract and the scope?
Yeah, I hope to have it in place by January 1. In other words, the ideal, and there's no guarantee because we've got 2 sides obviously negotiating. The ideal would be they'd take over management January 1.
Okay, and will that be released?
Well, yeah.
The scope and all that?
Yeah.
What do you mean released?
I mean,
The
What do you
contract?
mean release?
what do you mean?
The terms
Huh?
to the community.
Publicly released where people can see the terms.
Terms of the
Yeah,
contract.
there's nothing, I tell you, it's not a particularly long contract, it's about 3 pages, 4 pages long, and it's all the same kind of things you'd expect in typical contract, but things like insurance would be in place and things like that.
Yeah, right now, our consulting contract affords them $7,000 a month. The likely number to be decided is $9,000 a month. When they move from consulting to management, it's $2,000 a month incremental cost, in all probability.
And they are in charge of all the operations, or in charge of
They will
hiring?
hire, fire, train, set menus, and they'll be in consultation with some sort of a steering.
They'll manage other events for us.
Right, they'll actually be in charge of programming and setting up weekly events. Their goal would be that every week we have multiple events. They've also talked about having wine pairing dinners and bourbon pairing dinners and that kind of stuff. So this is the direction we're headed. This is going to be a very nice amenity.
I just wondered if they'll be in charge of hiring an events coordinator.
Yeah.
They will be in
Really,
charge of all of that.
really need
100%
that.
of the employees
We
down
have
at
an
the landing
awesome
would be their
venue.
employees.
Sir,
100% of the employees at the landing would be their
okay,
employees.
so that would be the event coordinator.
100%,
All of
100% of them.
I got it,
Yeah.
There would be nobody that has a different employee.
okay.
Other questions?
I just have one last statement. I think our dues have always been too low.
Yes.
I've only been here 37 years, but I even remember Bruce at one point in time paid extra dues for about a year, more than what the dues structure was. So I don't think he does it anymore, but.
And
We're
Phil,
getting close to my target.
Yeah.
and Phil, I appreciate that.
And thank all of you guys too.
Thanks.
And gals.
Thanks, Phil.
I'm gonna go get another.
Anybody else? No? See people leaving, all right, well,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
all in favor?
Whatever holiday y'all celebrate, have a merry one.
I want to thank you all. You're very open about everything, and that means so much. It's the most efficient board we have in a long time.
We're trying.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Yes.
I'm with you. I tried.
And welcome.
I'll see you at church tomorrow. I'll be there too.
Is it over?
It's over. You did okay? Merry Christmas. And thanks for having us Saturday.
Oh, it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
We'll be doing something like that a lot more often. So.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Kind of meditating.
Take it easy, heal up, recover.
That's
good. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how happy to heal it was.
And all of us.
I need to stop that.